Chapter 30. A Fresh Start. Now, it's time to put many ideas together to create a practical plan with which you could transform your life from what it is to what you want it to be. To do this in my own life, I have used a technique I call starting from zero. Its purpose is to clear your mind of the boxes, complications, and obligations that may be getting in the way of what you want to do. The technique utilizes many of the ideas we have discussed already. It's a way of tying together everything we've seen. It has many uses, but its greatest value can be in the creation of a new, freer life. It focuses attention on what you want and keeps you aimed towards it. Even with the labeling techniques we saw in the last chapter, it's too easy to rationalize every part of your present existence as being necessary, if you use it as a starting point. So, it's important to clear your mind of all present commitments. Only then can you get a clear view of what you really need to be happy. The starting from zero technique uses the life you dream of as the standard and compares everything with it, eliminating anything in your present routine that isn't part of the dream life. It provides the simplest way to determine which parts of your present life aren't what you really want, and to be able to visualize a way of getting to where you want to be. There are 7 steps in the technique. 1. Mentally step outside your present way of life. Start from zero by imagining yourself outside of your present routine. Expand upon the daydreams you have had before. Imagine now that you're no longer entangled in any of your present responsibilities, obligations, or relationships. Envision yourself totally on your own, with none of your present possessions, family, career, social commitments, debts, or contracts. In other words, you're completely free, starting from zero with a clean slate, a fresh start to go in any direction that you choose. Don't concern yourself now with the restrictions that presently exist in your life. Don't even try to decide how you will remove them. Just imagine that there's no one to restrict you or to make any claims upon you. 2. What would you do? Ask yourself what you would do with this totally free situation. Where would you go? What would you like to do for a living? What have you always wanted to do that's been prevented by your old way of life? Whom would you like to see? What would you like to do with your time? In this new life, would you be single? Would you want to live with a person you've always desired? Would you want a particular kind of home? What kind of work would you like to pursue? What material things would give you pleasure? Only one restriction should be imposed upon your dreams. You can't make someone else be what you want him to be. It serves no purpose to imagine that your spouse has suddenly changed as you wanted him to, or that your boss has finally given you that raise. Nor does it serve any purpose to dream that you're married to Sophia Loren. However, you can dream that you're free to pursue Sophia Loren and to apply your best efforts to the task of winning her love. Giggity. In the same way, you can imagine that you're free to pursue any career you desire, but not to imagine that others will miraculously throw money at you in contradiction with their own natures. But there are no other restrictions to prevent you from trying anything you want. So include in your fantasy anything you think you would truly enjoy. Include parts of your present life, if they are sources of genuine pleasure to you. but don't include something simply because it seems necessary or irremovable. Don't restrain your fantasies. Picture yourself actually doing the things involved. Act them out in your mind. See if they are really what you want for yourself. After you've done this for a few days, your dream will begin to have some more substance. You will have a good idea what kind of work you would like to try, where you'd like to go, who you'd like to be with, what would give you real pleasure. As you continue thinking about it, however, you might alter parts of the dream as other tasty ideas occur to you. Do this for a couple of weeks, longer if necessary. Continue building the dream until you no longer think of ways to improve upon it. Until then, retreat to your dream world every chance you get. Think about it. Indulge it. Live it mentally. Change it. Refine it. Develop it. Get into the details of it so you can see more clearly what you would most enjoy. After a while, the various fantasies should begin to settle into one basic dream. At that point, it would be very helpful to make a list of the elements in the ideal life you have pictured. Write down everything that occurs to you about it. The material things you want, the occupation, the new relationships, where you want to live, etc. It may take a couple of days to recall everything you've thought of that you want to be part of your new life. By writing down the elements of the dream, you can focus upon them more clearly and make better use of the next step. 3. What is your present life like? Now take a close look at your present routine. What activities engage you now? What is your work? How do you spend your time? Who are you required to associate with? Where does your money go? List the activities in your present life. If you haven't already compiled a list for the techniques mentioned in the last chapter. 4. Cross off everything in your present life that doesn't appear in your dream life. If there is something in your present life that isn't a part of the life you want for yourself, there is no reason to perpetuate it. All you need to do is find a way out of it, and we're coming to that. You might find that you will cross off everything from your present life, that you're not doing anything now that conforms with your dream of an ideal life. If so, don't be discouraged by that discovery. Everything you cross off from your present life can be replaced with something new, something better, something more productive of happiness. Financing the new life. The next part deals with the means of financing your new life. 5. What do you need to make your dream life possible? Estimate the requirements and costs of your imagined new life. How much time would be necessary to ready yourself for the profession you have in mind? How much money would you need to go where you want to be? How much time is required for the activities you crave? What other resources are necessary for the kind of existence you're dreaming of? For the moment, don't worry about what you already have or how you will get what you need. Just determine the costs required. How much money would you need? How much time? Your knowledge will go with you anywhere, but you need to estimate the cost of adding any extra knowledge you might need to achieve your ends. 6. What are your present assets and liabilities? Set aside your dream world long enough to make an inventory of your present financial situation. What are your present assets? How much money can you freely spend as you choose? What is the worth of your present property, home, land, furniture, savings, car, appliances, investments? Now list your present liabilities. How much money do you owe? What other monetary obligations have you incurred? Family support, leases, business liabilities, charitable pledges? Make your list complete. You need to know exactly where you stand. Don't overlook any liabilities. You can't eliminate them until you recognize them. If your assets are greater than your liabilities, the difference is your usable net worth, what you have available to meet the requirements of your new life. If your net worth is very small, or even if your liabilities are greater than your assets, don't let that stop you. Don't decide that you can't make any changes until you're out of debt. The situation isn't likely to get any better as long as you continue your present way of life. Losing businesses have been perpetuated for years in hopes that a few more sales would make them profitable. And in the same way, many hopeless routines are continued in the vain hope that things will be better tomorrow. Things will get better only when you make the changes that are necessary to make them better. It is your present way of life that's piled debts and obligations on your shoulders. If you continue it, your debts will more likely increase. It's important to get to zero, to a free position, as soon as possible so that you can have a clean start to move in the direction you want to go. When you escape from your boxes, you will have the opportunity to increase your net worth, if that is what you want. In addition to monetary responsibilities, inventory your other commitments. Are you obligated to future social responsibilities? Are you married? Do you have children? What other commitments do you have? Any burdensome commitments can be eliminated by paying some price. You can clear them with an expenditure of time or money. Add the monetary prices of eliminating unwanted commitments to your financial liabilities so that you can pay them off and be done with them. And now we come to the best part. 7. Make changes. Eliminate present assets that aren't on your dream list. Turn into cash all the material possessions that aren't necessary to your dream life. Eliminate all the activities that consume time without contributing to the existence you really want. Use the cash proceeds to pay off your liabilities. Try to eliminate every commitment in that way. If you wind up with nothing but a free life, you will be way ahead. With a free life, you can acquire what you want much more easily, with no debts or obligations to eat up the money as you make it. If you have cash left over after paying off the liabilities, use it to finance those parts of the dream world that require money. And use the time you save to indulge yourself in the dream activities you've previously denied yourself. You should be able to create a workable plan on paper. You'll be able to see what can be eliminated and how the proceeds in time and money can be used to pay off liabilities and buy the things you want. But sometimes these matters are so complicated that it seems impossible to work them out on paper. If that is the case, the best alternative is to usually liquidate your present holdings. Sell everything. Terminate all relationships, contracts, plans, programs. Sell all your property, whether or not any part of it is on your dream list, and pay off all your debts as far as the money will go. That is a drastic step, and I don't advise it unless you absolutely can't work out a transition on paper. But if that is what is necessary, do it. When you've done it, you'll be free to move in any direction you want. Don't be afraid to give up anything that's part of a basically unfree life. Anything you cherish can probably be reacquired later without any of the problems involved now. The important thing is to be free, and that may require a clean sweep. Temporary measures. Part of your dream life may involve a period of time necessary to establish a new career or relationship, and it may be that you have nothing in reserve to finance such a period. If so, you might need to take an intermediate job or find an intermediate relationship to tide you over. Be careful, however. Too often, temporary expedients turn into permanent ruts. Some of your present life may have been undertaken originally as a short-term means to an end that never materialized. You might decide that your present job is suitable for your new life, or there might be relationships you want to keep. If so, examine those things cautiously. They are part of your present situation, and they may be contributing to the rut from which you're trying to free yourself. If you keep your present job to tide you over, use a miniature starting from zero technique to determine the absolute minimum you must contribute to it in order to be worth what you receive from it. Do what is necessary for you to be worth your income, but eliminate all other activities from your working routine, such as socializing, long-term investments in a distant promotion or increased skill, extra hours worked without pay, etc. Earn what you're paid to do, but do nothing beyond that. In the same way, apply the starting from zero technique to any relationships you intend to keep. Don't start by considering what you do now to preserve such relationships. Instead, start from zero by determining what you truly need and want from the relationship. Then determine what's necessary to make that possible, and eliminate from your present activities anything that exceeds that. You don't have to call friends daily or weekly to keep their friendship, nor do you have to visit your parents weekly to retain them as your parents. Be honest. While you're in the process of thinking out these matters, someone may confront you with a question that seems to require a decision by you. For example, while you're considering your career plans, your employer might want to discuss a new position for you or a relocation to another city. Or, while you're thinking about your marriage, your spouse might ask a question that indirectly concerns the future of your marriage, such as if you want to buy the new home you've discussed. Don't allow such questions to pressure you into making a premature, long-term decision. You don't have to sever the relationship on the spot. Neither do you have to accept the new commitment. Resign yourself to staying and then pretend you had no thought of leaving. The safest way to handle such a question is by being totally honest. And what is your honest position? It's probably that you don't know the answer, that you're in the process of re-examining your entire life, and that you're not sure yet what answers you will find. The person involved might be shocked to learn that you're even considering rocking the boat. He may accuse you of being selfish, thoughtless, disloyal, or irresponsible for suggesting that you might put your own life ahead of your relationships with other people. But you know that you aren't going to be irresponsible. You're facing your obligations and commitments, and you're considering what might be done to improve upon them. As to your selfishness, of course you're going to put your own life first, as anyone with any sense would do, as each person is doing, each in his own way. And it's up to you to determine your way, regardless of structures, institutions, social pressures, moral codes, or relationships. It's easy to be thrown off balance by a question for which you have no immediate answer. What are the poor children going to do? Won't this break your sick mother's heart? How are you going to satisfy your financial commitments, etc.? Don't give up your dreams just because you can't answer every question yet. The only honest answer is that you're considering such matters now and you haven't resolved them yet. If you're not allowed to consider such things for yourself, you must be a slave. If the person involved is reasonable and willing to discuss the matter with you, so much the better. His attitude may be helpful in discovering the price you might have to pay to eliminate a commitment to him. It's also possible that someone will react negatively at first, but then become more agreeable when he has had time to think of the possible benefits to himself. No matter what the reaction, I think the safest approach is to be honest in telling exactly where you stand, even if you stand at that moment in a state of indecision. The big decision. Throughout this book, we have considered many possibilities and alternatives that can enable you to live a freer life. Now we have finally come to the important question: what do you do about it? The only sensible answer is to eliminate from your life whatever isn't suited to you. Acquire the freedom you've craved and start living your life as you want to live it. The starting from zero technique is an essential means of getting from here to there. If you use your present life as the starting point, you have very little chance of getting what you want. You can find too many justifications for hanging on to each part of your present routine. You have to go back to zero and start there, asking yourself what you'd do if you weren't involved as you are now. Only in that way can you see a clear, realistic picture of the life that would make you happy. Then you can determine the relevance of each of your present activities. Once you know what is necessary to live the kind of life you want, bold action is required. Take your time thinking about these matters, but don't be slow in acting on them once you've thought things out. There may be other ways to be free, but I've never come across any that work. I've seen friends use various kinds of gradualism in their approaches, but years later they were still in the same boxes. Freedom requires bold action. You may make mistakes in the process, and you may lose some of what you have, but anything you lose can be reacquired once you're free. You don't have to remain in the boxes. It's your choice. You can be free.